he said something that will resonate with me for the rest of my life.
Wow.
He said, why do you reward yourself with exactly what you've been disciplined and disciplining yourself to not do?
Ooh, shit.
And I think this plays perfectly into Ed Days and the point that I just made. If you say, man, I've been so good, I haven't been fucking insert a word, I haven't been drinking, I haven't been smoking, I've been working out 6 days a week, I've been doing my push-ups, my sit-ups, and squats every day, courtesy of Austin and Jose.
Hey.
I've been reading, I've been talking to new people, I've been networking. I started my LLC. And then you say, okay, my reward for being disciplined is to be undisciplined? How incongruent could you be?
And it's important.
I completely agree.
And what do you agree on, Jose? Because we're coming to you live. We're back, man. And it may look like we're in the same shit, but mind your business.
Mind your damn motherfucking
business. See, I don't know. You already said damn. You might as well. Damn, motherfucker, all that. Well, shit.
I'm sorry, by the way, from all the noise. It's probably from me.
No, it's probably from both of us.
I'm fidgety. We'll get some stands soon.
We're getting demonetized. Well, we're
not even monetized.
Exactly.
Bro.
Fuck it.
And plus, your whole channel doesn't have to get demonetized. It can just be like a small portion.
Like the video. Just
right.
Like, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
But on today's topic is Ed Days.
And people would say, what the fuck is an Ed Day?
Now, we're not going to explain to you the true origin.
Yeah.
But we'll enlighten you on what an Ed Day is. But before we do that, Austin, introduction, please.
So, welcome to the AM Club Podcast. We're coming to you live from another undisclosed location that you will never know the coordinates of or anything of. Never in life.
But
until...
If you know, you know.
Exactly. If you know, you know. If you don't, sucks. But
because what I know,
if I know what chicken butt. All right. Hey, that mute button, boy. I tell you what, that's gonna get us out of a lot of shit.
Oh man.
But yeah. So we're coming to you live again, with a great podcast today, and we have a great topic. And from what Jose said, a lot of people might say, I have no clue what the hell an Ed Day is. Well, we're going to tell you about it. We're going to tell you about the importance of an Ed Day. And we're going to tell you how you should or can incorporate Ed Days into your life and how they can help you. So, Jose, can you please describe an Ed Day for our viewers / listeners / however the fuck you're watching, listening, or feeling this podcast
and tuning in?
Yes.
I would love to. And thank you for tuning in, by the way.
Yes.
We very much appreciate your love, support, or your hate and your disdain. Either one works.
Doesn't matter.
Because we are receptive to anything and everything.
Indeed.
Because that is life.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so an Ed Day. A very simple way to describe an Ed Day is a day full of fluff, fun, and shenanigans. Because that describes the nomenclature of an Ed Day in one statement, sporadic. Now, Austin, do you believe in work-life balance?
So how people would say, or how people would think about work-life balance, I don't think we agree with. The intention behind it, I understand what they're saying.
Right.
But the original meaning of work-life balance means, you just described it pretty well. So how would you describe it?
So work-life balance is essentially saying I separate work and life, and I find a balance between the two. Now, most of our lifetime is actually spent working. Let's say 70% of our lifetime is spent working. That means you're working and hating 70% of your life just to enjoy 30. Why not enjoy all 100%? So when you try to balance in the process, you have to separate work and life, which in theory, it works great.
Right.
But in the world we live in today, application and depression levels show otherwise.
That is true.
I don't know how else to say that, you know. It's going to sound terrible, but reality sometimes is harsh.
So something that I was encountering, I think Jose also encountered this previously, but something I've been encountering recently is working too damn hard, to be honest. Like, I'll just be honest and say that. So we have a lot of shit going on.
Oh my
goodness. A lot of shit. You know, bringing you this podcast is just one drop in the ocean of shit that we have going on.
And on top of that, now that we're taking it so seriously, it actually takes the amount of time and dedication that one of our 5 businesses does.
Correct.
So it's technically a 6th business.
Indeed.
In theory.
Yes. So.
And soon to be application.
Very true. So adding that on top of everything else we have going on, you have to give yourself time. Yeah, my dog is interesting. I know you guys can't hear it because we have great equipment, so you can't hear that shit. But so recently it's just been hard to find time to let up off the gas a little. I'll say that. Decompress, you know? And that's something when you're in the midst of working towards your goals, you might lose sight of. However, what is the point of getting to your goal if you're going to die as soon as you get there? And I say that to say, you have to allow yourself. I know you might be like, I don't know about that shit.
No, go ahead. But I'm just like, where's he going with this?
So if you don't take the time to decompress, to recover, to deload along the way of lifting the heavy weights of life and the actual heavy weights that you're lifting when you're growing physically, mentally, spiritually, and business-wise, you're going to be a burnt out, broken, destroyed piece of shit at the end of shit that can't even enjoy shit because you're just so fucking destroyed. However, if you make the time, set aside the time to say, hey, look, I'm going to work my ass off, but we're going to have, I don't even know, some hours dedicated to where we can do what we usually used to do.
Right. In a sense, goof off.
Enjoy life. Now, for us, that's a little bit different. We're not going to go to the club and, throw ones at hoes and smack asses and all that shit.
That's crazy.
Yeah. That's not necessarily what we get into. But something simple like going downtown, going for a walk, smoking a cigar.
Getting some ice cream at Amy's.
Having a nice drink, having a nice dinner. That's something.
Talking to a business owner at a pizzeria.
Exactly.
Like just going in there and being like, hey, who's the owner? And then sitting there shooting shit and then getting a free pizza, network, and connection.
So simple.
A conversation that's more meaningful than any conversation that you would have on a weeknight, going out every single night. Who the fuck are you going to talk to? What the fuck are you going to talk about?
And you can get into more of that because you can get on your rants. But
please,
having an ed day, and not only having an ed day, having the proper ed day can be so efficient for yourself and for your trajectory of where you're trying to go. So for us, again, going on a walk, talking to somebody who's older than us and has a lot of knowledge on a particular thing, asking them how their day is, smoking a cigar, just little things like that
Smelling the roses.
It helps you, yes, smelling the roses per se. It helps you, it rejuvenates you in a sense to get ready for the shit show that you're going to have to go through on a fucking daily, weekly, whatever basis. It doesn't have to be a binge where you have to do this for days on end. No. Once you're in the habit of working nonstop, having something, just a small amount of time where you can say, hey, look, I'm not even going to think about that shit right now. We're going to take some time and recover. Take some time and deload. Now, for those who may not know what deloading is, Jose, can you explain deloading to people? Is it stopping something cold turkey? Is it just saying, hey, fuck it, I'm not going to do anything and I'm just going to sit on my ass? Is that what deloading is?
No.
And hold on, let me.
He's chasing his tail in a kennel. Okay, that's what. If you hear, Austin's gonna go handle this. It's an interesting situation, but deloading itself, it might be different than what most people would think. There's different ways to deload, but the concept of deload is very simple. Your ligaments and your tendons do not grow and regenerate to the same level that your muscles do. So a lot of times fatigue and injury can come to your ligaments and to your tendons before your muscles. And that comes with prolonged use and prolonged strain. So in order for you to come back better rested and stronger and healthier, you take a period to slow down, whether that be chopping your workouts in half, whether it be reducing your weight. It could be a combination of all of it, or it could be a day that you spend or a week that you, or a period of time that you spend predominantly stretching and working on mobility. But it doesn't mean entirely stopping. It just means changing and shifting gears.
Right.
Which is essentially what we're talking about here when we say an ed day. And for anybody who drives a manual transmission or has ever driven a manual transmission vehicle, what you do in order to speed up, before you upshift, you downshift. So if I'm in fourth and I want to gun it,
accelerate very quickly,
and I know I'm going to have to hit fifth very soon, what's the best way to do it, Austin?
You downshift because it allows the car to pull faster. If you stayed in the gear that you were in, it would take you longer to get to the speed that you want to get to.
So sometimes to get to 5 or 6, you need to go from 4 to 3.
Ooh.
So you need to go 4, 3, 4, 5, 6. Because that's what it takes. You need an ed day. And let me make a distinction here, because when I made that face when you were like, okay, what's the point of being all broken and damaged when you get to the point or the end goal? I think there's two different end goals. Now, let's give the example of a caveman. The caveman has to protect his tribe. Whether he survives or not is unimportant. He needs to protect them from these, say there's an invasion going on. The outcome is binary. They survive or they don't. Now, that's one scenario where does it really matter the end state that you're in? You've accomplished your goal. Now, the more likely scenario, the one that we're actually discussing today, the one that we're touching on very heavily, is where you actually have a next level to achieve. Because when you reach the peak of one mountain, there's always a higher mountain. And so that's the idea, that when you reach a certain goal, you do get to see the beautiful view of that height, and you get to savor it.
Enjoy the fruits of your labor.
You enjoy the fruits of your labor, but the reason you have to be in good condition is A, to enjoy it, and B, to prepare for the next level. Because it's a continual ascent. It's a never-ending ascent. Now, that could be an additional caveat to what Austin was saying, that's perhaps my perspective differs slightly there. As you know, and we talk about this all the time, you don't have to agree with anything or everybody to be in a good connection or to be heading in the same trajectory. But I think that the biggest thing here is any vehicle requires maintenance. You need to change the oil. You need to change the timing belt. You need to change the tires. You need to change the brake pads. They have a limited mileage. Vehicles themselves do not last forever. Sometimes you can keep the same chassis, but even then the chassis requires work over time. And so if you run the vehicle to the point where you demolish everything, other components are going to break, and then the entirety of the vehicle is going to break. You have to go and maintain it as you go. And that's how you ensure the longevity of the vehicle. And we're focused on longevity. We're not focused on taking a short path and then destroying a vehicle.
Indeed. And that's the point that I was trying to make earlier, where it's not a sprint. For most people, it's a sprint.
Most people think it's a sprint, but they're not even sprinting.
Correct.
That's the funny part. I'm burnt out. From what?
It's a marathon.
It's a marathon of sprints, bro.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier in one of our earlier podcasts. Go back and look at those, by the way. And by the way, if you haven't, like, comment, and subscribe. If you want to comment something mean, go ahead and comment something. He'll respond and say something, nice, but also kind of assholey in a sense. That's what he does.
I will challenge your perspective.
Yes.
But that's okay, because, again, your opinion's your opinion, but I'll hit you with logic.
Right.
And if logic trumps opinion and your feelings get hurt, then you need to watch more of our podcast and understand that your feelings don't matter. Outcomes do.
There you go.
World's smallest violin. Like I give a fuck. Maybe for you, I'll get the whole entire orchestra, because you need to hear the symphony. You need to hear the bravado. You need to hear the fortissimo so that you can cry tears of anguish, sorrow, and pain, as we have.
you see how he takes things and how he handles things and how I handle things. I would just say a simple. I wouldn't say it. I wouldn't comment it, but I just say in my head a simple, "Hey, fuck that guy," and then just leave it at that. But
Austin has a better ability of knowing when to give a fuck.
Oh my goodness!
And the dog just got afraid of the equipment.
Yeah, hold on.
But Austin has a better ability to know when to give a fuck, so that's a difference there. Where do I riff from here?
You can riff all the fucking time.
I can riff on a lot of things. You got a good point there. I do believe that the most important thing, and the one takeaway, if I could say that you need to understand when it comes to downshifting or when it comes to having an ed day, is you need to have something that gives you perspective and reminds you, A, who you are.
That's a good point.
B, what are the things you actually enjoy?
Right.
And C, and this is the crazy part, the little things. You need to remember them.
Right.
Because a lot of times, especially in today's society and the way that people behave, it's all about being grandiose. It's all about the image on social media.
Ooh.
It's all about being able to say, "Oh, I went to this expensive restaurant. Oh, I went to this location that's a rooftop place meant for networking, but people go on dates because, apparently that's cool. They get to say they've been there." You know what I'm talking about? And it's nothing about, "Hey, I walked the same block that we walked 5-10 years ago.
Ooh.
Hey, I smoked a cigar that we smoked this day.
Right.
Hey, we went to do this that we used to do." Or, "Hey, we discovered something new today." Or, "Hey, we had a small conversation." Or, "Hey, we saw a street name while we were walking that aligned with a certain conversation that we just had."
Right.
Oh, we're demystifying the messages of a 10-minute conversation and the things that happened that we walked by. Oh, we're realizing the lens that we view the current reality that is in front of us with is entirely different than it was before.
Right.
And then you start piecing that apart, and you actually slow down. You're not keeping up with the Joneses. You're not looking for images. You're not looking for validation. You're actually, to a degree, living in a mode of introspection, which is essentially slow down, understand where you are, get some traction, and then take off.
You're cooking.
Hey, man, it's the mics.
Yeah. But that is actually like a very great point, because we've talked about seeing the world through different lenses. We've talked about that before.
Right.
But I don't think we've touched on the importance of enjoying the little things before. And that's what Ed Days allow you to do.
Exactly.
And when you're caught up in achieving the ability to move mountains, when you're trying to move a mountain, you forgot what it felt like to push a pebble.
Yes, and it's the same process, just at a different scale.
Exactly. And
is.
before, you used to enjoy pushing the pebbles, right?
Right.
That's what got you to be able to think, hey, maybe I can try this on a mountain. That initial small little thought, small little activity that you used to enjoy is what started the thought process in you to say, hey, look, let me try that mountain over there, you know?
Right.
So every now and again, you're going to want to go back to that state of mind or to that place, to that activity, and say, hey, this is where it all started. I used to love doing this, man. You know, something simple.
It's the little joy.
The little joy. The little joy that helps you remember why you're doing what you're doing in the first place. And sometimes when you're caught up in everything, it's hard to remind yourself or to remember that.
Speed.
Why am I doing all this shit? It hurts, it's painful, it's difficult. Why am I doing this? But enjoying the little things can again rejuvenate that sense of hunger, that sense of excitement and enthusiasm that you have for whatever it is that you want to do. Because now, you know, it's like the pit stop.
What's the pit stop?
It's the pit stop. Along the journey, the long journey that you're taking to get to wherever the fuck you want to go, you're going to have to take a pit stop every now and then.
Yeah, you need to refuel.
You need to
clean the windshield.
Clean the windshield so you can see clearly.
Exactly.
Get some snacks, rejuvenate your body and stuff like this. This is all one big metaphor for every little thing in life. You stop at the gas station at the pit stop to clear your mind a little bit, to take your mind off the road because all you've been seeing is the road. You get stuff to fuel your body so that your body is sound for the journey ahead. You clear off your windshield so you can stay or have a clear view of life and declutter all that bullshit that gets thrown at you on a fucking daily basis. You know, you got to make sure your car is right. The oil in it is okay. Make sure that you're still healthy, that it can still do the job to get you from point A to point B.
Yep.
The pit stop, man. Ed Days are a pit stop for you along the journey of life, along the journey of getting to that end goal. It's so, so important. And my friends, the pit stop is what makes you be able to get to the next goal. You stop, pit stop again, takes you to the next goal. It takes you to the next goal, takes you to the next goal. So along the way, if you don't stop, you're going to run out of gas eventually.
Oh, good
and
luck.
if you don't want to run out of gas.
Yeah, on a stranded highway.
Exactly. So take that pit stop every now and again. Take it. Not saying stay there. You don't want to stay there. You don't want to live at the gas station.
That's horrible.
You don't want, you don't want to camp
Yeah.
out at the gas station. However, know that it is important to take some time to rest at the gas station a little bit to get what you need in order to get you to the next stop, to the next goal. So remember that pit stop, that Ed Day. It's not just for the moment. It's also for you in the future. So you have the ability, so you have the energy, so you have the willpower to get to where you need to go. And that, my friend, is what I have to say about Ed Days. And you're looking up something right now on the laptop. Who is this guy that I'm looking at on my...
Jeez, look at his arms, bro. That's crazy. I'm trying to be like that.
Yeah. Well,
I'm getting there.
yeah.
Give me time. Give me time. Give me like 5-6 years. See, because we do things naturally. When you do things the right way, when you do things the way that requires time, it takes time.
It takes time.
Yeah, when you do things that take time, it takes time.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good conclusion. Let me make a distinction and a clarification real quick. An ed day is not a way to blow off steam. An ed day is a way to recharge. Because I know that some people are probably thinking, oh, okay, you're saying an ed day is a way to get back to roots. So I can go on a rager, go to a club, get drunk, get fucked up, do X, Y, Z. I can go on a binge drinking spree. And it's like, no, my brother. No, my sisters. No, whatever you identify as. I'm not saying that. What I'm telling you is you need to find a way to rejuvenate yourself, and preferably a way to stay relatively sober. Yes, you can get buzzed on whatever substance you choose, but don't go down the hole of being completely disassociated or in a different spectrum world or whatever you want to say, on a different level, we'll say. Because the point of an ed day is to come back recharged the next day. You don't downshift to first gear to get to sixth. You downshift from 4 to 3, then to 4, 5, 6. So you don't want to go all the way back. You also don't want to get all the way to a stop, and you definitely don't want to put it in reverse. So that's one distinction I want to make. I want to say, hey, if you're looking for a way to blow off steam, find a way that doesn't involve vices. Hit the gym.
Correct.
Go for a walk.
Right.
Call a friend. Talk to your parents.
Read.
Find an outlet, whether it be an instrument, whether it be conversations. It could be a podcast. Initially, our podcast was actually a way for us to just kind of push out what was going on in our minds and in our lives.
Right.
And it even to now, it works really great, because usually before we podcast, we will sit there and talk for 2-3 hours about life, business, faith, religion, books, whatever. And then we're like, okay, cool, we're ready. So that's that. Now, I wanted to close off with a little something that I heard from Andy Frisella, which is he's the founder of First Form, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. He's an entrepreneur. He's the one who does 75 Hard. He's a badass. He has a great podcast too.
Okay.
So if you ever get to his podcast, please watch it. I forgot the name of his podcast, but here, I have to do him due diligence, so I'll find it. I will find his podcast because we do things right. It's called Real AF with Andy Frisella. Shout out to the Real AF with Andy Frisella podcast.
So if you don't know what AF means, that means as fuck.
As fuck. So anyways, I heard something from a short of one of his podcasts, and it was fucking phenomenal. He said something that will resonate with me for the rest of my life.
Wow.
He said, why do you reward yourself with exactly what you've been disciplined and disciplining yourself to not do?
Ooh, shit.
And I think this plays perfectly into ed days and the point that I just made. If you say, man, I've been so good, I haven't been fucking insert a word, I haven't been drinking, I haven't been smoking, I've been working out 6 days a week, I've been doing my push-ups, my sit-ups, and squats every day, courtesy of Austin and Jose.
Hey.
I've been reading, I've been talking to new people, I've been networking. I started my LLC. And then you say, okay, my reward for being disciplined is to be undisciplined? How incongruent could you be? It's quite the opposite. Your reward of being disciplined is to continue being disciplined. If I'm rewarding myself for reading 10 pages a fucking day, I'm going to say, okay, cool. It's time to reward myself by continuing to read 10 pages a day. I'm not going to be, I'm not going to read today because congrats. What the fuck kind of logic is that?
And Jose, what happens if you reward yourself by not staying disciplined? Say, if you go to the gym consistently and you stop for, let's say, a week, you reward yourself because you've been hitting it hard for months.
Right.
You stop for a week.
Right.
What happens?
You regress.
Exactly.
And not only that, everything regresses. Now, if you get injured, okay, but even then, it begs the question, now how's your mental state? You're not pushing yourself physically anymore. So now how is your day-to-day reflecting that? And it falls faster than it rises. You
That is
lose
very
muscle
true.
quicker than it takes you to build it.
Very true.
You lose money quicker than you make it.
Very, very true.
For when people leave you, they leave like that. Pow! But it takes you a while to get them. It's the same thing with discipline. Discipline is a muscle. And once it's gone, sure, you can get it back. But it falls way quicker than it took you to get it. And I like the idea. I like the way you phrased that. You said, and you don't go at all. You take the entire week off. That insinuates that, okay, you're not at home. You're not doing push-ups, sit-ups, squats. You're not walking. You're not running. You're not going to yoga. You're not doing mobility. Because those are all things that you can do. That's slowing down so that you can speed up. That's not putting the car in neutral and slamming on the brakes or pulling the e-brake.
Right.
And let me make a good analogy here. What happens if you let go of the gas and the car's in fourth? Eventually, what's going to happen?
You're going to fucking stall.
Exactly. Now, the car, the engine is off. So when you hit the gas, what's going to happen?
Nothing.
The fucking nothing.
Car is off.
The car is off. If you take your foot off the gas, you stall. Period. Downshift before you stop. Because if you stop, you will stall. And if you stall, you will... I can't say that word.
No, you can't go ahead and say it.
Well, I can't say that word. If you stall, you will fall to your own demise.
Ooh. If you stall, you'll fall.
And once you fall, like Icarus, you fall all the way to the bottom. And there is no way to get back up.
Damn.
And yes, there is, but don't bank on that.
Yeah.
Why bank on the worst case scenario? You were afraid to succeed because you thought, what about the next level, when you weren't guaranteed to get to the next level? So what makes you think you could get back up when you fall? Don't be optimistic, be realistic.
Mm-hmm. I think you said a good amount, man. I like it. I think
Hey, man.
you said what was needed, not what was wanted. And that's what they need.
That should be our next podcast. Wants and needs. Shout out to Drake.
Ooh. All right. Wants and needs. Next podcast. All right.
The AM Club Podcast.
Slide it out.